So we have a question here, and you kind of brought this up. Is it worth going through a third-party app to buy cryptocurrency stock? And I was wondering if maybe like we could dissect that a little bit. So a third-party app, like I know I bought my stuff through Coinbase. I'll be super honest with you. That is something that I've been wondering about, if that's like the best place to buy crypto. But another thing is, she said cryptocurrency stock. And I think one of the big misconceptions I had going in as well was that it was a stock, but it's actually like a form of currency. So could you explain on both of those?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. So probably the easiest way is to go and buy it from a third-party exchange, like Coinbase, or I tend to refer people to Bitcoin-only services like Swan Bitcoin or Cash App. And one of the biggest reasons why is because a lot of these projects just scam people, if not most of them or all of them. Yeah, I mean, I started out on Coinbase. I still have a Coinbase account. I don't use it a lot, just because they've had structural issues and seem to shut down every time there's a major move, which is, there's tons of theories on there as to why that happens. And it might just be like their form of a circuit breaker for their exchange if there's a lot of volatility. But, they claim it's not. They just claim to have bandwidth issues. So I'm not, a lot of people aren't the biggest fans of Coinbase, but Coinbase is definitely reputable in the space. They've been around the longest, and it's not the worst place. You just, for new people, it's hard because you get bombarded with all these different options, that are probably confusing. So as far as it being a stock, so Bitcoin itself is a decentralized digital currency. So it's not like you're buying into, a company. You're buying into money. And one of the reasons why there's so much volatility and so much growth in the space is because it's better money. And right now it's looking like it's winning as sound money. It's getting adopted in the free market versus, our garbage fiat trash that we have that's depreciating and being endlessly printed. A lot of these other projects that are out there, they operate like unregistered securities. And so in the free market, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's important for people to understand what that means, because your typical person is coming off of Robinhood and they have all these options to buy equities and companies. And they see the cryptocurrency market very similarly. And they think, the best thing to do is to hedge my bets. I'll put a little bit into Bitcoin. I'll put a little bit into Ethereum. I'll put a little bit into whatever else. But the problem with it is, one, these companies, there's a lot of companies that are offering these tokens. When you buy them, you don't get equity in the company. You have no control. So if you go and buy Forge stock on Robinhood, you get to actually vote and make decisions in the company. If you go and buy Ethereum, you don't get to make decisions. And so a lot of these, like Ethereum, for example, has had something called a pre-mine, which means that the founders own the majority of the tokens, or they started out with the majority of the tokens. And you're essentially buying from them and making them rich, versus Bitcoin, which was a really organic start where everybody had access to it if they wanted from the very beginning. And some people might not see a whole lot of difference here between Bitcoin and Ethereum, because early adopters have a lot of the have a lot of the Bitcoin, or have a disproportionate amount to what we have access today. But the difference here is that, the Bitcoin network isn't dependent on those token holders like the Ethereum network is, where you have one group of individuals making all the decisions on whether, you're going to change the actual network, or whatever else they're going to do. If they're going to roll back transactions, which Ethereum has done before. because of a hack, where they just essentially invalidate a bunch of action on the network. It is a very different system. And so, if people are going to be investing in these alternative coins like Ethereum or whichever other one, it's very similar to investing in startups, but with far less control. And so they're very risky. They're most likely going to go to zero. And then I just don't see, another issue that people have when they look at all these other currencies is they think that they're going to operate interchangeably or kind of coexist. And I just have trouble seeing that happen. Like, one of the reasons why we have hundreds of fiat currencies is because of governments implementing borders and rules with guns. Like, the reason why we use the US dollar is not because it's the best currency out there. Well, it currently is, but it's because they came up with laws that said that merchants have to accept it, and those laws are backed with guns. And that's the same case. We're watching some major depreciation of the Turkish lira right now, and those people are being forced to use this garbage currency. So that's the reason why we have all these different currencies. It's actually very, very inefficient. Because imagine if you had to use a certain currency on Amazon, and then you went to go use a different currency on another website, and you had to exchange it to be able to use it. It makes a lot more sense to have one currency, and I think that's why everything will gravitate towards Bitcoin as a universal currency rather than a bunch of other currencies coexisting. Thanks for watching this clip from my appearance on the Lielani4Freedom podcast. It was a great time talking about the basics of Bitcoin. And if you want to get into the talk, check out her channel, Lielani4Freedom, and you can find it here on YouTube or on audio as well, anywhere that you can find podcasts.